Welcome, everyone. This is the first ever Facebook Live discussion from Sarah's Tutor book, Reading Tutorial, Homeschool, and Homework Help. Welcome, everyone, to the first ever Facebook Live discussion panel for Sarah's Tutor Bug, Reading Tutorial, Homeschool, and Homework Help. I am Sheniynah Richardson, the founder and director of this nonprofit organization. Now, even though tonight's focus is on homeschooling in Mississippi, I want everyone to stay tuned regardless of what state you may live in, because the information that is presented here tonight can most certainly help you make up your mind regarding homeschooling option for your child. Now, in different states, there are different rules and different regulations regarding homeschool. For example, certain states require that homeschool students be schooled for 4 to 5 hours a day. And some states require that students have a standard aligned curriculum to follow based on the state standards or Common Core standards. Mississippi homeschool laws do not require that students take standardized tests to prove their student achievement, while some other states still, in certain grade levels, they want to test students to see where they are, regardless of whether they're homeschooled or in an actual public or charter school. Now, only 8 states require standardized testing, and some of those states include Georgia, Minnesota, North Carolina, South Dakota, and Tennessee. All right, and there are 10 states that will allow the option of standardized testing or submission of a portfolio. Now, I'm going to break it down as far as what a portfolio is. Now, a portfolio is basically a collection of your students' work samples, such as PowerPoint slides they may have made, research papers, essays, letters of recommendation from a pastor, community service hours, volunteer experience, internships, any essays they have written, just basically work samples that prove that they are capable of a certain level of academic standard. Okay, now these states that have the option as far as whether to use a standardized test or use portfolio work are Colorado, Florida, Louisiana, Maine, New Hampshire, Ohio, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington. Now, Nebraska is the only state out of all 50 that does not gauge student success based on standardized testing. It's the only one. Nevertheless, hang on. Like I said, regardless of where you're from, you should be able to use this information to decide whether or not you're going to homeschool your child or continue to homeschool your child. So before I get too far ahead of myself, I'm going to tell you about Sarah's Tutor Book. Now, in 2015, I started Sarah's Tutor Book as a nonprofit in Columbus, Mississippi, with the mission of promoting literacy by providing individualized and tailored lesson plans to motivate struggling readers, advance emerging readers, and inspire affluent readers to become college and career ready. And that is the mission. So, the concept or the idea about how Sarah's Tutor book got started was because my daughter had some lapses in her education, and given her classroom size with not enough support in the classroom, she started to fall behind. So, as a concerned parent and a classroom teacher, I began to think, like, okay, so what could I do to stop this or to help my child become a success? And that's when I came up with the idea of Sarah's Tutor book. And my concept was that if I'm facing these same struggles with my child not getting what she needed to be successful in her classroom, then there must be other parents and community members out there that needed the same thing for their child. All right, so in 2006, Sarah's Tutor book evolved to a homeschooling aspect, and I added that. And my experience with homeschooling has been great. I've really enjoyed it. And of course, initially, I did have my doubts about whether I was effective as a homeschooling parent. Yes, I had taught in the classroom, but here it is, I'm having to teach my daughter subjects that some of them I don't really care for because I'm an English teacher. So, yes, that reservation was there, that concern, those doubts, yes, they were there about whether or not I was effective as a homeschooling parent. However, I was pleasantly surprised when we ultimately had to relocate to Tennessee. And my daughter was eligible to attend two of Nashville's most prominent IB schools, international baccalaureate programs, middle schools. And during teacher conferences, her teachers would say, Sarah tells me she's been homeschooled. I was like, yeah, she's been homeschooled. And they were like, we're very impressed, particularly since she's a transfer student from Mississippi. Now, I didn't take it offensively when they said that because I don't even have to say it. I'm not going to mention it. But you know the stats. And she was able to transition very well in these international baccalaureate studies in Nashville. So that was the proof in the pudding that, okay, homeschool really worked. And I was also exceptionally pleased because the standards that she was learning with the online program we had, it was advanced. A lot of the content was things that I used in my ninth grade classroom, applying, Mississippi state standards. So these standards that she was being taught through the homeschool curriculum that we use were reaching above the level of standard that was required in Mississippi. So that is something to consider there. All right, so like I said, tonight I just want to share my experience and answer a few questions regarding homeschool experience, and I want to empower you with the knowledge to make an informed decision so that your child can experience the same success that my daughter and I have. All right, And as I stated before, I'm targeting quality education in Mississippi because it's where I'm from. I went to school here myself. I've attended college here, and it's um, it's at the one of the lowest rankings as far as academic achievement for students. And I want parents to know that there is something you can do, and you do have a right to choose what is best for your child when it comes to education. And quick question: why wait on the legislation to dictate the outcome of student achievement or your child's future? With everything that's going on right now in politics, which I'm not going to get in, how much confidence do you really have in our government to educate our students? Ugh. Okay, so I'm not going to even go there. I'm going to leave it. Just giving you a little food for thought. You chew on that a little bit. All right, so point made. And you can do something about your child's education today. All right, so who am I? Again, I am Sheniynah Richardson. I am the director and founder of Sarah's Tutor Book. I have worked over a span of 10 years as a certified secondary language arts teacher in Mississippi and in Tennessee. I have a BS degree in communications with emphasis in journalism and a master's in educational leadership. Blah, blah, blah. But I know that's not what you're here for, to hear about me rattle on about that. What you're here for is the questions and the answers to: should I homeschool my child? All right, so let's get started. Here is the first question. Question number 1. Can my child return to regular school after being homeschooled? Yes, your child may re-enter public school at any time. However, some schools may require an entrance test or some kind of benchmark exam to see where they are academically. And typically, I know in like middle school and elementary, they call it a MAP test, MAP test. And I think all students have to take that. So your child would probably end up having to take it depending on the school or the district and what they require. So, yes, you can end homeschool at any time and have your child return back to school. The second question is, can my child play sports and do extracurricular activities if they are a homeschool student? The answer to that is yes. By law, no homeschool student can be pushed out of athletics because they do not attend that said school. They can cheer or play for that local school team because they are a student. All right, so yes, just contact your school district, your local school district on that. Question number 3: how much does it cost to homeschool? Okay, so it's not free right now. And uh, fingers crossed, hopefully in the future there will be vouchers that will be issued to parents so that they can purchase school materials such as laptops and even the hiring of tutors to help support the homeschool curriculum that you have for your child. But as of yet, those vouchers, those grants, are not here yet. It's been put on the table. Legislators have been talking about it and discussing it, and they're still struggling with fully funding public education. So, that part about funding homeschool education is still wavering, but it looks like eventually in the near future vouchers will be given to parents so that they can buy materials to support their students in homeschool education. So back to the question, how much does it cost? From my calculations and from money I have spent, the cost can start at $1,160. And what I factored into this price is the one time purchase of a computer if you don't already have one, monthly internet access, and of course, online curriculum. And just a quick note about the online curriculum. Now, with the online curriculum and the program that my daughter is currently using and that we have used in the past, um, it tracks and it monitors and it's standard aligned and it prints out graphs, and I can pull up a progress report at any time and print it off, and it has a pacing guide and it has video tutorials and worksheets that I can download. So I'm not having to create the content. The content is already there in that package. And so it's worth the cost that I spend, which is a mere $20 a month on this online curriculum. It's just $20 a month. I spend more than that in gas and food and nail polish. So keep that in mind. All right. Number 4. What education level do I need to be an effective homeschool teacher? In Mississippi, there is no education requirement for parents. But in some states, the minimum education requirement for a parent is a high school diploma, at least. All right, number 5. Is the extent of homeschooling just using a computer? Now, I did just brag about the computer program that we use and how it's set up to download worksheets and have videos and games and activities and things like that. But that is not the full extent of homeschool. You can be as creative as you like. A day of homeschooling can be bird watching in the park, and then going back home and researching the types of birds that you saw, taking a trip to the museum or to the zoo, or museum, taking art classes, swimming classes, aerobics, things like that. Just getting out and watching a play, a live performance, things like that. And it definitely contributes to the learning experience. Now, You may think that I'm just making that up, but I kid you not, it is true. I researched this when I was in my master's program, and I was looking at the performance of students from Seoul, Korea to the United States. Now, Korea, as far as the educational system, their kids have blown U.S. kids out the water. Now, this is considered like somewhat a third world country, right? And the most their income is generated by fishing and tourism. So it's not really educational based. Most of the people they farm or they fish or they make pottery or jewelry or something like that and sell it at the market. However, their kids are outperforming the kids in the United States. Why is that? So the research was saying that it's because these parents take time to teach their kids early on. For example, the fishermen, they would take their kids on the boat with them and they say, son, daughter, this is how you put together this net. This net will hold this many fish, which equals so many pounds of fish. And those are like basic skills that kids learn early on that help them, that set them up to be an academic success. So they take it a step further. Also, what was noted in the research that the Koreans, they hire, and the Chinese, they hire tutors for their kids. Yes, their kids go to school, but they have personal tutors that come in and help them at home. Now, a common misconception that I've had when I started Sarah's Tutor book was that my child makes straight A's and B's. They don't need to be tutored. Well, to each his own. However, tutoring is not just for struggling students. Tutoring is to enrich, is to wherever your child is, to grow them, to advance them. You know, going back to my mission statement, to inspire affluent readers. So there is no cap on education. There's no one person that is just so super smart that they know everything about everything. There's always room to grow. And that's how I feel like as a teacher. Like I don't know everything and I'm not going to pretend to know everything. There's always more that I can learn. And when you cap off education and say, well, you know, my child doesn't need anymore, they're smart enough, compared to, because like I said in the research, so the students in Seoul, Korea, which the community that they surveyed was a small little town, and those kids who live in huts and their parents were farmers and fishermen outscored kids in the US who have MacBooks and iPhones. Just a thought. I digress. Moving to the next question. Can my child go to college with a homeschool diploma? The answer is, of course. Many colleges seek out homeschool students. And I'm going to ask a question, and then I'm going to allow you to have some think time to answer it. Now, I can't hear what you're saying, but I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it. The question is, why do you think that colleges seek out homeschool students? What's so special about them? Think time. So I'm Jeopardy music, right? In your brain, Jeopardy. Do 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 Okay, so the question was, move over, Alex Trebek. The question was, why do you think colleges seek out homeschool students? Why do colleges want homeschool students in their schools? Well, if you said something along the lines of they know that, or they can be assured that students hadn't been passed along and that the content that was put before them they really learned, and they have a portfolio and evidence to back it up. Remember, I talked about that portfolio, the work samples. Because when you graduate from high school, all you have is that diploma and you have transcripts, but you don't have the tangible evidence like the papers you wrote. You know what I'm saying? The references. You don't have to have a resume to graduate, but homeschool students, it's part of their portfolio. They have evidence of their growth, and it's not limited to just a standardized test. It's like, what have you actually done? Like, how have you built character to be of service in the community? How can what you've learned be used to better society type, up there, and it's the actual application of the information. It's not just sitting in a classroom being standard, being regular, just fitting in and just meeting the standards. It's not just that, it's the above and beyond. So yes, and parents, come on now. If you know your student is struggling with something, what are you going to do? You are going to do everything in your power to make sure they understand how to simplify a fraction. You're going to do everything in your power to make sure that they're writing those essays and that they're spelling the words right. You can micromanage your... See, if you're a bit of a control freak or a helicopter parent, the way I am, you can just look at your child. This is not neat. Rewrite it. Because that's how I am. But in a classroom, if they just do subpar work, the teacher was like, they met the standard. Why? Because they have 60,000 other kids that they don't have time to scrutinize the work. You see what I'm saying? But if you're standing over your child's shoulder, you're looking and you say, you misspelled that. Go back. This supposed to be capitalized. You didn't subtract that right. You didn't add this right. Go back. That's why. That's why colleges seek out students that are homeschooled. And I'm not just talking about community colleges. Let me run you a list right quick, since you think it's a game. These are the colleges that actively seek homeschool students. Okay? Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Harvard, Stanford, Duke University. Don't believe me? Google it. Look it up. Okay? I'm telling you. All right. Moving on. Number 7. How do you graduate from homeschool? Right? Because it's homeschool and the parent is over the child's education. So how do you graduate? Because traditionally, students would graduate, they would complete a certain number of courses, and they would have passed, and they took a standardized test, and they move on. So how do you graduate from homeschool? All right, you, the parent, can create the diploma, and there is a website where you can go and make the diploma and type your kid's name in there and print it. And you can seal it and frame it and do all whatever fancy stuff to it that you want. And you can also create a transcript. So, like I was mentioning on the program that my daughter is currently using right now, it will give like an itemized list of the activities and the standards and the chapters and the lessons and the grade that she made. And she would have practice tests and unit tests, and all of this would be categorized into graphs and charts and information that is organized and easy to read. And that is a transcript. Okay, so also, also, moving from the transcript, the portfolio. The portfolio is an exit ticket. And so I mentioned like some things that could serve in a portfolio. But that is like when they have so many essays written, or when they reach whatever level, whatever goal that you set, and you feel like, okay, yes, yes, they're ready, then, you know, the portfolio is complete, and that can be their graduation. Now, if you want your child to have a formal graduation, it is not unheard of that some homeschool students in the past, they have asked their local high schools to join in the graduation. Because remember, I said that just because your child is homeschooled, they do not have to be isolated from the events that occur in the high school. They can take electives at high school. They could still take drawing classes or art classes or other classes that you may necessarily not be able to do at home, but in high school they can, take these classes, and they can play sports and things like that. And that includes the prom, that includes the winter formal, the spring dance, and graduation. So they can get the homeschool students can order the cap and gown as well, and walk right on across the straight stage with other graduates. I'm making it look real good. I think I'm building a real good case right now. I think I am. All right. Also, um, this is a goal that I've set for my daughter. Making a passing score on a ACT test, because that is still a requirement for college admission. So maybe you say, well, when my child takes a SAT or ACT, depending on what state you're in, and what college your child is going to, when they are able to make X score, a passing or above passing score on the ACT or the SAT, then I will say, I will sign off that they graduated from homeschool. So it's really up to you on what standards that you set. Basically, being a homeschool student means that you are responsible for your child's education, and you are responsible for the resources and the content that your child is exposed to. Question number 8. How long does it take to graduate from homeschool? Mm. Well, I kind of gave it away a little bit in the last question, but I'm going to say it again. You, the parent, you decide. It's up to you when your child graduates. Now, if you have an advanced student and they kind of like zip through the content that you've provided, and they fulfill your expectations before they're 17 or 18, then you can let them graduate when you feel that they have met that mark, whenever you see fit. It's basically up to you and the standards that you set. Number 9. Do I have to teach everything myself, or can I hire a tutor? No, you do not have to teach everything yourself. You may certainly hire a tutor. But as the guardian, like I said before, you're merely assuming the responsibility for your child's education, meaning that if you're not good in math, you're going to find someone that's good in math to show your child how to do math. If you're not good at writing essays, you're going to find your child help in how to write the essay. And I would like to emphasize this as well. Now, homeschooling is a family effort. It's not just the parents, it's the uncles, it's the aunts, it's the community at large, it's the village teaching and raising the child. It's not just the educational component of it, but it's the social skills, it's the soft skills, it's the networking, it's the rigor of it, which they not only have this like school is kind of sheltered, right? And the students are only exposed to they're limited in their exposure, I should say. They're limited as far as who they're friends with and who it's like blanketed. But if you're homeschooling and you're getting out and you're looking for internship opportunities, and it's part of your schooling, then it's like, okay, they have a broader worldview, and what they're learning on paper can transfer to real life. And that's kind of what homeschool is about. It's the transferring of the book information into real world scenarios. And it takes it's a family style type learning. All right, moving forward. So no, you do not have to teach every subject. It's just you are the parent of record, saying that you vouch for the quality of education that your child receives. Number 10, how do I know if my child is learning the right things? Because you're talking about all these standards and state standards and common core standards and just standards. That's where the online software that I was talking to you about and I kept mentioning. However, I hadn't said what it is, because if you really want to know what it is and you're interested and you're ready to move forward, then you sign up for my orientation, which is $50 a family. And I will tell you what I know, and I will get you set up and I will get you started if you're ready to get things going. I can definitely help you there. Because, like I said, I've been very pleased with the content there, and it's been like above the expectation. It's not at a minimal, and like as my daughter progresses through, and she's fluent in one area, the program will challenge her to give her more difficult tasks. So it's tailored and it's customized. Like, oh, okay, well, she knows this. Let's add this on, and let's do this, and let's do that. And also, she has an opportunity to revisit lessons that she struggled with. They'll give her more enrichment, or they will give her kind of more activities to practice. And like I mentioned before, it also includes like downloadable worksheets that she can practice. So moving forward, that's how you buy the curriculum. You buy the curriculum and you sign up for my orientation. $50 a family. Number 11. Can my child get a job with a homeschool diploma? Now, they already can go to college, I understand, but can they get a job? If they can go to college with a homeschool diploma, they can get a job with a homeschool diploma, as well as enroll in the US of A military. So it's legit and it's certified. Okay. Number 12. Okay. Is there a deadline for homeschool registration? Now, the deadline in Mississippi is September the 15th of every year. However, some states do not have a deadline, and it's open enrollment all year long. So basically, it is it's no time frame in certain places, but in Mississippi there is. And to get the specifics on that, you would have to visit your a State Department of Education website and check that out. Or, as I mentioned, you can sign up for the orientation, and I can give you the rundown on what is expected and required in your state as far as homeschool. Well, that is kind of all the content that I have to cover tonight. And I just about made an hour, so I think I did pretty good. Also, I would like for you to follow the hashtag Fight COVID-19 Education Drain. Okay, and there will be different resources and links that I will be providing so that you can make an informed decision, Mississippi, before September the 15th. So, probably another question people may have, they say, well, if you're promoting homeschool, then you must be against public education. And my comment on that is I am absolutely not against public education. I have worked in public education. I am a public educator. So, no, I'm not against public education. However, I am an advocate for educational choice because our children are not robots, and each child has their own way of learning, and they have their own pacing, and they just have their own individual uniqueness about themselves that is not going to show in a room full of 30 students. And I'm not pointing fingers at anyone because teachers have a hard job. When you, okay, so simple math right quick. You have 30 kids. You have one teacher with 45 minutes to teach one standard to each child in the room. How much time do you think you're going to have for each student to learn that standard? Now let's say that, let's even add more variability in the equation and say that some kids are reading 2 grades below standard. Some kids are reading above standard. Some kids are reading at standard. And let's even further complicate the situation. Some kids learn better as visual learners. Some kids are kinesthetic learners. Some kids are visual or auditory learners. Okay? So you have to accommodate each learning style. And on top of accommodating each learning style, which it's just common sense, but it's not in any teacher book. You gotta account for the maturity level of each student in your class. Just because they're in ninth grade doesn't mean that, I mean, their body may be a ninth grader, but their mind might still be in sixth grade. Like, they might be still saying, when do we have recess? Oh, you're in high school now. There's no recess in high school. But you know what? If the ninth grader wants a recess, if you're homeschooled, you can let them run outside for a little while, go to the court and play and things like that. So it's more about tailoring to your child. And once you accommodate them and you tailor them, then they'll be in a better like situation to learn, and they will enjoy learning, and they won't dread it so much. You know what I'm saying? So also, it's ideal for like exceptional learners and the little young people, the little pre-K and the kindergartners, because each child is different and they learn in a different way. And again, I reiterate, if you're a parent, you don't necessarily have to teach your child everything, but you can ask for help. And that's what I'm here for. You can ask me for help. Okay? So, I think that's. I said that before. I sound like a preacher. Just 5 more minutes and I'll be through. But no, I think I'm done. I think I'm done. Nothing else is coming to mind right now. Except for just subscribe to Sarah's Tutor Book on Facebook to get the updates, and just browse through there. And I will definitely be sharing resources that will help you make a decision to continue to homeschool or to start homeschooling. And there, peace and love, everybody. And I will see you on the other side. Bye now.